Good morning, Facebook. Welcome to Friday morning, bright and early. I hope you guys have had a super great week. And this morning, really wanting to chat about how do we take time out for ourselves in such a busy, crazy world. And I've been having quite a few conversations with some beautiful women during the week, and I've found that it's the number one thing that most women struggle with. And I think it's one of those things that we tend to put self-care last, thinking, oh, I'll do that after I've got this done and this done. But the problem is that it's never all done. And so we never actually really create that time. Hey Joe, great to have you on here. So we never actually create that time and that space for ourselves, because obviously there's always another meal to be cooked. There's always laundry to be done. There's always somebody that needs to be somewhere, someplace, sometime. And so this can really quickly unravel us. Hey Leanne, great to have you on here. And so taking time out for ourselves, I really think, is one of the best things that we can actually do to really role model self-care to our kids. And I know it was particularly important for me to learn, particularly in my first few stages as a single mum, because when you're in that and you're working and you're trying to manage everything in your life and be there 100% for your kids, you can burn out very, very quickly. And I know that this is true also in a boat where both parents are obviously present within a household as well, simply because of the pressures that we're placing on ourselves, I think, as a society, to be and do and have it all. And there's nothing wrong with that. Unless it's the energy that's driving it underneath is coming from a place of effort and struggle, and we're not enough already as we are. And I think it's a huge thing to really recognize within yourself. What is the underlying intention? Why am I doing what I'm actually doing? And if it's coming from that place of pressure, either internal or external, and I think both external pressures really, what we're deeming our society, or the house payments, or this or that, or the car payments, all of those things are really just internal pressures that we've actually placed on ourselves. We've bought into society's ideals, and it's not to say that that's good, bad, right or wrong, but is it serving you? And if it's not serving you, I would really get you to challenge you, not get you to, but challenge you guys to really look at that and to really take a step back. And for a long time, I wore, the sign of being busy and not having enough time for myself as a sign of success, and as a sign of, yes, I've finally made it and I'm finally significant because I'm so busy and I've got so much going on in my life. And I got to the point where I was just so adrenally fatigued and so exhausted that I just couldn't keep it up anymore. And hey, Carly, it's great to have you on here again, hun. And so that really drained me, and I got to a point where it was just like I really had to push back hard and make some new decisions and choices in my life. And I think we can't actually do that unless we're actually tuned in and really listening to what's going on inside us. I know for me, I can feel quite okay on the outside. Hey Kevin, great to have you on here. I can feel quite okay on the outside, and then when I actually do take that moment, it's like, oh my God, I am so exhausted, or I'm so tired, or I will literally just burst into tears and not have any clue when I've been so much in the external world and push and go and do and trying to meet everyone else's needs. And when I check back in with myself, it's like incredible the level of emotion that can be sometimes going on internally. And not having any clue at that time. I think we're all very good at putting on that mask and just forging ahead instead of actually really taking time out. And one of the biggest blessings for myself was really starting to do a morning routine. And this may suit you guys, or it could be some other time of the day. It could be even at lunchtime. But I would strongly encourage whatever that routine is for you, to take that time and to journal. What's on your heart. to take time to check in and to come back to you. And just, I find placing my left hand on my heart one of the quickest ways to just go, what is it that's going on inside of me? What is it that I need? When we're in that adrenalized fight-flight state, we are in our head a lot of the time. And when we're in our head, it's we're in that survival mode, we're in that ego, we're defending things, we're judging things, whether it's, and generally it's pretty much ourselves, but we're also judging other people and circumstances and making things good, right, wrong, bad, black, white, all those things. Whereas when we're back into our heart or our soul, I kind of use those terms intermittently, or a spirit, or the core essence of who you really are, underneath all the layers of all of the personas and the identities of who we think that we need to be in order to prove ourselves in the world or to prove our worthiness, that's all our ego. And when we come back to center in our heart and take that time out to connect with that part of ourselves, what I found was that there was just so much greater flow in my life. Suddenly, things weren't seeming so crazy. Things were lining up easier and easier for me every single day as well. So I find that when I'm in flow and when I'm connected with me, I feel connected with life. I feel connected with others around me. And I think just from the conversations that I've had, even a lot of the challenges with teenage girls, which I've got my first program booked in. It's on the 9th of August in Narrandera. So I'm super, super excited about that. And there will be another one in Wagga shortly, and then I'll be taking it further out to further regional centres in Australia. Which is really exciting to be getting this information out to teenage girls. And I really think it's our responsibility as parents as well to be starting to role model these things. Because if we're showing up disconnected and we're just pushing through and head down, it really does make things challenging. Hey Beck, great to have you on here. Sorry Carly, I'll just read your comment on. Oh, beautiful. I love it. So she's off to do her meditation of a night time. She's in the UK, so that's beautiful. I love that. And have a beautiful sleep, hun. It's kind of funny, obviously, being 6 a.m. over here. So, but it really is, like I mentioned before, having that morning routine or having that evening routine, or even taking 10 minutes out of your lunchtime, set an alarm and do a meditation for 10 minutes, or go for a walk in nature, do something, whatever it is for you to connect you back to you. And the more that you do this, the quicker you'll be able to access it, and the quicker you'll be able to get back to a sense of inner peace and feeling a lot more content and calm. Initially, what I found, sorry, I feel like I kind of went off track there for a little bit, but initially what I found when I first started doing this was it actually brought a lot of stuff up. So it was quite challenging in lots of ways. It's not necessarily easy work, because once you're tuned into your soul, it can be quite confronting, because it's like, oh my God, this needs to change, or that needs to change, or now I've got to make some decisions around my work, or around the amount of time that I'm spending with my kids, or the amount of time I'm spending with my partner, or, we tune into what's really, really important. And oh my God, my head went on the biggest rant last night, and well, I don't think it was I'm not sure what was coming through, but anyway, it wouldn't let me sleep until I typed it out, and it was a blog post that I wrote about the crazy pressures that we do put on ourselves, and we're buying into society's ideals around what success truly means, what we need to do to finally be enough. And it's all fear-based, it's all fear-driven, that if I'm not keeping up with the Joneses, or I'm not this, and I know this is all, old stuff, obviously. Lots of people have said that, but are you tuning in? Are you really taking that time out for you to read that book, or to focus on what's most important? And quite often it can be that, I'll get to it one day, or when the kids are grown up and left home. And what we don't realize is that we're showing our kids that this is the way that you have to be as an adult, and you're not actually creating that space and that time to nurture you, to love you, to fill up your bucket, so that when you're actually giving to others, it's coming from an energized place of, oh my God, I feel amazing, let me share this with you, let me do this, and just feeling so connected and so radiant, and really, coming from that place of love, as opposed to, righto, I've got to get this done, I've got to get that done, right, jump in the car, let's go, let's do this, let's do that, where we're not connected and we're missing out on so many special moments. And I know for me, you know, some of the best conversations I've ever had with my kids has been in the car on car trips. I love nothing more than jumping in the car and going somewhere. Number one, they can't escape when I get on a little bit of a life coach rant. They are very good at suggesting not to give them advice, though, which is always really great. But we have some really, really great conversations, which I think is so, so, so important as well, because I can understand where they're at and what's going on for them. And when that's actually happening, you know, it creates so much trust and so much understanding in our relationship, simply because I know where they're at, and we can communicate in such a way that it really does just open up a lot more information into what's going on in their world, what are the decisions that they're making, and are they tuned in and following their heart as well. Because this affects everything. This affects, particularly, I think, you know, at that age group, but even at our age now, if you're not happy, oh my God, like, it's so time to make some changes. If you're finding that you're feeling empty, or you've always had that dream that, yep, I'm going to go out and start my own business, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, and you're ignoring it, or, you know, you've got a book a book inside you that you're not writing, or you've got some music inside you that you're not playing, or you've always wanted to do those dance lessons or learn something new. Now is the time. It's, you know, life is going so fast, and in a couple of days I actually turned 40, and initially I've never been kind of funny with birthdays and things like that, because I always think, you know, well, the alternative's not so great, so, you know, I'm really excited about having a birthday. However, I must admit, you know, I'd placed some shoulds. When I'm 40, I should have already had this done, or this taken care of, or achieved this, or done this. And it was really interesting, because I was doing some journaling around it and came back to my heart center. It was just like, oh my God, I'm so in the perfect place right now, and I'm so at peace, and actually really excited and looking forward to turning 40 now, because I know the next decade for me, I've done so much work in my 30s to really shift my life like 360 degrees. Like, when I turned 30, I was in a marriage that we were both polar opposites. So it was like we were universes apart with our values, with our morals, with the way that we wanted to live our lives, what was important to us, and everything else. And we you know, that's not to say that it was a horrible absolutely horrible time or anything like that. There was a lot of good times in that, but there was a lot of disconnect as well, a lot of the time, and being able to really work through like a lot of that. And in the end, my husband actually chose to leave the marriage, and it was an absolute blessing as well. No, he wasn't happy, I wasn't happy, and it really set me free in terms of being able to step into who I really am. I embraced my spirituality. I embraced even more of redefining my career and who I actually wanted to be. I was 32 when I figured out who I wanted to be when I grew up. And really stepped into that, restudied, retrained, went on a crazy like personal development journey. Every spare cent that I had and created, I would channel into investing in me. And it's just been the most incredible ride over the last 8 to 9 years, really, that I've really just poured so much time and energy into really understanding me. And I had to do that because suddenly, you know, I'd gone from a mum that had her kids 24/7. I'm certainly not suggesting this for anybody that's trying to create time for themselves, but I had really gone from being a mum that was just fully poured into doing everything, trying to have this perfect house, trying to have, you know, everything in order and everything. And I think a lot of it was just internal chaos that was actually going on inside, where it was like I wasn't acknowledging how I felt. I was definitely emotionally eating. I couldn't lose weight properly. Properly, like there's a proper way to do it, but I couldn't lose weight. It was like I'd do really well all week, and then come Friday and Saturday, I just completely sabotaged myself, simply because I was trying to shove down all of the feelings, the unresolved feelings. And and try and give myself some sort of love. I didn't recognize it as that at the time. I didn't understand what I was doing it, why I was doing it, and I actually hated myself even more for doing it. But that was really quite challenging. Hey, Nicole, it's great to have you on here in Dallas. Sorry, it wasn't feeding through. So during that time, there was a lot of upheaval. There was a lot of shifting and changing. And seriously, like friendships fell away. It felt like every foundation in my life just literally crumbled away. My mum actually passed away in that time, and she'd been a huge amount of support for me as well. So there was so much change, and I really had to find that level of support. Thanks for the hearts. I really had to find that level of support in myself, and what I discovered was self-love really just impacted everything. I've done this big loop because I remembered what I was actually saying before. Self-love and self-care impacts everything, and it really comes back to what we actually allow and accept from others as well. Like if our self-worth is low, we're always going to be jumping in and saying yes to things that aren't necessarily right for us, or that we're wanting to do, and things like that. Saying no is one of the most powerful things, and not even having to defend or justify or validate why it's not a good fit. Like if you're tired, if you're exhausted, if you need just some space out or time out for you, being able to say, thank you so much. I feel so honored that you invited me, or that all of those things. But really, this is just what I need to do for me tonight. And I hope you understand. And if not, that's okay. You don't need to. In giving yourself permission to be you, and what it actually does, it sets everyone else free, because it gives them permission to fill up their bucket. And I think this is where relationships can really get entangled, because it's like, well, I've done all this stuff for you. Why aren't you doing this for me? And we're blaming, and we're not taking full responsibility for our own happiness as well. And I think there's nothing more powerful than meeting somebody that has taken full responsibility for their own happiness, for the way that they're living their life. They're clear on who they are, they're clear on their standards, they're clear on their values, and they're actually stepping in and actually living those values from a place of true alignment within themselves as well, and giving themselves permission to be, do, and have all it is that they're wanting, not because society's dictating that this is important or that's important or anything else, but because they've tuned in and they're so clear internally on who they actually are and what's important. And I feel like I've really gone on like a very big rant there. So please feel free. Hey, Ali, great to have you on here, hon. Please feel free to ask any questions, or I really want this to be a conversation, and I normally say that at the start where it's that level of interaction. It was kind of like I didn't really draw a breath at all. But if you guys have got any challenges around being able to take that time out, and I know at times it really can feel like, I just can't do it. You don't understand what my life's like, and I can promise you, after working with over 1,500 clients through my clinic, I have seen these same patterns come through. I've recognized those same patterns in myself, and the only person that can actually change this is you. And it's about being brave enough. It's about having enough courage, and it's actually about being tuned in enough to what is really, really important for you as well. And when we're actually doing that, we really start to, like I said, role model that to our kids about being more and more connected with ourselves. One of the things, hey Joe, I'll just read what you're... Oh, sweetheart, you're on a journey. Definitely. Hey, honey, I'll pop in a link to my self-love book as well, because that might be really, really helpful. It was one of the things that I wrote after I kind of went through my journey around that as well too, darling. So yeah, self-love and self-care is absolutely paramount, particularly at this time. And it definitely can be crazy, and I love the synchronicity, obviously, of things that flow through me. And so many times people say to me that like, it's like, oh my God, you're in my head, how did you know that? It's like, or I've had some messages where people my pleasure, honey. I've had some messages where people are like, oh, we'll be going through that exact challenge, and then you send out an email about that, or how to overcome that, or how to move through that. And all that it is I'm just tuned in. I'm just, what do I need to chat about today? What's coming through? What needs to be spoken about? And a lot of it, is definitely resonating with me at the time as well. And they say that we teach most what we need to learn too, and self-love has definitely been a huge thing for me. If any of you have heard my story before and things like that, it really was about my marriage had broken down, my mum had passed away, and two of the big sources of love that I thought that I had were both external, and I didn't know how to validate myself internally. I didn't know how to love myself, and it was just like, wow, it was just like the universe got me and shook me and just went, okay, it's time to wake up. You need to learn how to love yourself. And yes, definitely, Tareen, I totally agree with you. It is easier to make the excuses and not find time for yourself too. And guilt. Oh my God, like guilt has been a massive one, and something that still comes up occasionally. It's a lot less. Hey Brooke, great to have you on here, hun. Guilt can definitely be one of those things that blocks us, or it's easier to do things or to fall into those pleaser type behaviors or pleaser patterns because it feels so uncomfortable to actually let somebody down, or to feel like, hey gorgeous, it feels so uncomfortable because our survival mind is freaking out. It's like going, oh my God, yeah. So Trine relates to the guilt trip too. It really is like the survival mind's freaking out because it's like, if you do this, they're going to be pissed at you. They're not going to be happy with you. They're going to resent you. They're going to not like you. They're not going to be there when you need them. Like there's all these stories that the mind runs, and definitely, the guilt, but it's at the end of the day, our life, and Trina, you and I both know that. So, life can be gone so fast and disappear so quickly. And we never really know, when is our time up. We can do lots of things around our health and our well-being. And obviously that's a huge high value for me. And Brooke, I know you super value your health as well too, hun. And we're on a health journey together, and definitely inspiring the world around health too, getting great nutrition in. But at the end of the day, we really don't know when our time is up, and it's our responsibility to be living the life of our dreams. And the thing that really gets me over the guilt line is, what do I want to be demonstrating to my kids? How do I want my kids growing up? Do I want them thinking that they have to be the martyr, that they have to be doing everything, that they can't be tuned in, that they can't be making those decisions for their own life and following their own heart, simply because they need to be making everyone else around them happy? And I tried it for 32 years and it was not a good recipe for happiness. I appeared to have this perfect, well-together life. Underneath, I was dying. I felt so empty, so alone. I wasn't reaching out. I was withdrawn. I was so scared to make any decision that upset anybody. It was just like, I had this plastered mask on my face of, yeah, I'm happy and all of that. But inside, I was just an empty shell. And it really did take the breakdown of my marriage to really slap me around, and then the passing of my mum to go, oh my God, how do you figure this stuff out? What are the keys to happiness? Hey Lee, great to have you on here, and to take that time out and to really sit with it, and to sit and figure out, what is really important. And again, the guilt thing, I think it definitely comes from a place of just wanting to please, wanting to fill people up, but knowing that we can't actually do that unless we've taken that time to check in with ourselves and make sure that we're okay. Thanks, honey. It's beautiful that you're relating so much. And from all the conversations that I've had with beautiful women this week, I've been asking the question, what are the biggest challenges that women have and teenage girls have in today's society? And there's been so many powerful responses, and a lot of it, like I said at the start of it, was external and internal pressures. So external pressures, and I definitely had placed a lot of those on myself, from being that A-type personality, from having highly successful parents, and wanting to role model that and not wanting to let them down. So there was a lot of internal pressure that I was placing on myself around that, needing to be the perfect child, needing to be loved, needing to be this, needing to be significant, all of those 6 human needs that Tony Robbins talks about, trying to meet those, but it wasn't in a resourceful way, and it was in a way that wasn't aligned with my values as well. So, and when I say that, that was when, I was emotionally eating because I was trying to fill up all the love that I wasn't giving to myself. I was putting plenty out there, but it was also a second-class love as well. And the intention underneath it was pure love, but it was coming from a place of I didn't like myself. I didn't love who I was. That I was pouring myself into everybody else in the hope, in the attempt that finally they would love me enough. And it's a fruitless game. It never paid off, and it was tainted with resentment. It was tainted with anger. It was tainted with frustration, simply because, when we're doing that, it's like we're giving to get, and when we're giving to get, it just, the receiver feels it, we feel it, and it's exhausting and it's draining because it's like it's loaded with expectation. It's loaded with, well, they should do this, they should recognize this in me, they should validate me, they should love me for this, they should say all these things, and it's a trap that we can definitely fall into. And the more that we're in it, the needier we become, and suddenly it's like we're some possessed person that's like needy and insecure and really trying to get something from someone outside of ourselves. And my God, I've done it so many times. I've been in that pattern so many times. And these days, I have greater and greater awareness, and I can pull myself up so fast because it doesn't feel comfortable. It's loaded with anxiety. It's loaded with depression. It's loaded with all of those really uncomfortable feelings, simply because it cannot be found out there. And I think, particularly this can be true when we're going through a lot of change as well, is just trying to embrace a sense of certainty. So we go into trying to control our external world and have things lined up, all the ducks lined up in a row, all of these things happening, our life in order, our home in order, having a clean house is one of the things that I can recognize it in me, and I go straight to it, trying to get a sense of control, trying to get a sense of certainty, trying to feel safe in an uncertain world. And it can never be found out there. And this is where tuning in and loving you and knowing, like taking that time to build upon yourself as well, where you've got those really strong foundations of what fills you up, how to feel connected to you, how to pour into you. It really does create such a center of resilience. And out here there can be a whole lot of stuff going on, there can be a whole lot of surface emotions, but deep down in your core you are rock solid, baby, and it feels amazing. Life can be just ups and downs and everything kind of going on, but at the end of the day you have absolute faith, you have absolute certainty internally that everything is going to be okay. And there's nothing more. Hey John, hey Annette, great to have you on here. There's nothing more, I don't know, it's indescribable how that actually feels, to know that you are so centered in yourself, you're so balanced. And some of the things that came through from women that I spoke to about what are their greatest challenges, and it was like that work-life balance. And I totally agree, we all want to try and find balance, but life is rarely in balance. And I think it's sometimes, as my mentor Scott Harris says, sometimes it's getting out of balance. We've got to go so far one way to finally bring us back to that medium. If we've been so far one way, we've got to bring it back the other way. It's kind of like, but being able to discern what the difference is, knowing when to push, knowing when to push through. And it's the same like with training or exercise, what are the days where you do really need to push through? You need to take yourself to that next level. And what are the days where you just go, oh my God, no, that's so far from what is right for me right now. Today I need to be gentle. Today I need to just do some yoga stretching. Today I need just to be really kind and gentle with myself and have a rest day or have a nap in the afternoon. I'm a big fan of the 8-minute nap. I just think that is quality stuff. I'm normally up pretty early, like anything from 3 to 4 in the morning, and I do normally go to bed fairly early as well. Hey Jerry, great to have you on here. But you know, being able to really tap into and tune into what is the aligned thing, what is the right thing for you right now. And it could be, you know, like I said, it could be going and pushing hard, whether that's in your business or whether that's, you know, taking a whole bunch of time for your relationship or a whole bunch of time for your kids, whatever that is. But being tuned in enough to know, yeah, that feels right. That feels like the direction that I need to go. And then, you know, well, what do I need to do to mitigate that on the other side? So if it's pulling an all-nighter, not that I'd ever really recommend that. I think sleep is absolutely imperative. But if that's what we've, you know, feels aligned, we've got to get through some stuff, or we're feeling crazy energetic about something new that we're creating, and so pouring our heart into that and doing that, if that's what's right for you, then, you know, how are you going to mitigate that on the other side? Is it that, you know, you then take 2 or 3 days where you just schedule out time for yourself or time for your family? And we can't do that unless we're actually tuned in. And so I've been on a massive big rant here around lots of stuff, so I will actually wrap it up and I'll pop down that link for the Selflove book. I do think that it's, for me, it was all of the key things that I actually learned around tapping more into me and coming back to my center. I'm just reading Beck's comment. Yeah. Oh, sweetheart. Look, I think we can all put up our hands and definitely agree with that. And I must admit, it is truly freeing, and I still have some challenges around a couple of things with that myself. So, you know, I'm far from perfect in the area. However, I am getting better and better. And when I'm tuned in and just going, you know what, life has just been so crazy, or I'm in this space where it just doesn't feel aligned for me anymore, and I love you and I love where you're at and everything else, but I'm sorry, it's you know, I feel like I'm probably letting you down, and just be really vulnerable and raw and authentic. And I think people really actually feel that as well. And the more and more we do it, the more courageous we become. It's kind of like, I know when I first started sharing my thoughts and ideas on Facebook, even setting up my Options for Life business page, oh my God, the anxiety that I felt before I hit the publish button was through the roof. It was just like, crazy. And the more that we actually do this, and I think, you know, people respect the more that we can actually do it. Sure, they might be pissed and all of that, but it really is about aligning yourself with the people that really love and support you and give you the freedom to be you. And I connected this week with one of my best mates. We've been friends since we were 13. We literally met in year 7 at high school, and I was overcome with complete and utter gratitude for this person, because it doesn't matter who I'm being or how I'm being or what I choose for myself. She is my champion. She is my support leader. She is my cheerleader. And she just celebrates me so much and allows me to really honor what's right for me. And oh God, there is no greater gift I think that we can ever give anybody in the world. And yeah, I mean, God, when we give ourselves permission, we give others permission to step into that space as well. And suddenly, you know, relationships aren't tied with neediness and aren't tied with have to and should and obligation. It's just from a place of pure love and pure being. And pretty much most of my relationships these days really come from that place, just from a place of pure choice in, hey, I love you, want to hang out. And when you've got space and time to hang out, let's do that. And it is so freeing. And if at the last minute, you know, that person's going through a challenge or I'm going through a challenge, we both give each other full permission to just go, hey, my God, it's been a crazy week with the kids, or this has been going on. Can we take a rain check? And there's never any resentment. There's never any oh God, they've let me down again, or anything else. It really is just pure, complete freedom as well. I've definitely been in that space where I've felt let down, or I felt like they haven't shown up, but even that, comes from a place of alignment as well, and tuned into what is it that we really need, and giving ourselves permission to do that. I have a beautiful saying, which it really helps me on those days where I feel really challenged about stepping in and loving me more as well. And that's, when I love me, I set everyone free. And it really does help me to tune back in and to know that I can't give love, not true, unconditional, free, radiant love, unless I'm really loving me at that deep level. And there's nothing in this world like it when we're tuned in and giving from that space. It's just like now, being able to talk about this stuff, it fills my heart so much. And I know that all of my experiences that I've been through in life have led me to this very point in time. And if I wasn't tuned into me, I'd still probably be working at a job that I hated, that I cried literally every morning. I remember being curled up in the fetal position, literally in the bathroom every morning, forcing myself to have a shower and just crying my eyes out because I didn't want to be there. And it just was not aligned. I didn't get to spend the time that I wanted with my kids. And as time went by, I resigned from that shortly afterwards. I stepped into another job that gave me greater freedom, and I could literally work my own hours. The guy was amazing. He really trusted me, which was wonderful. And I always made sure I got the work done. There was no compromise there, but it was in my time. And I really, and it was one of the reasons why I went on to build my own business as well. Yeah, so Brooke, I'm sure that we can all relate. We've all had one of those jobs where it's just like, oh my God, I don't want to go. And at first, we love it and we think it's great, but, we get back to that space as well. And the more that we can actually open that vision for ourselves as well and see what is truly possible for ourselves. God, I would have 8 years ago when I was 32, when my life just literally completely fell apart, I would have never dreamed in a moment that, this is where it would be when I was 40. And I do have obviously some of those big visions and things. A couple of years ago, I hit that vision, which was the 6-figure income. It was working where I wanted, when I wanted, and with who I wanted, and really created a lifestyle that I love. And I've recently found another vehicle that really helps people to step into that. So if that is something that really, you're really resonating with, my God, I want that time, I want that freedom for myself, please reach out and PM me, because I'm more than happy to chat with you about that experience as well, or that opportunity. Because I really do think it's about, like I said, just tuning in. What do you want? And know with every ounce of yourself, it may not happen as quick as you want. I know, I wanted my perfect life within 12 months, but that was only because I thought it was going to bring me happiness. And what I realized that, happiness is not in anything that we're doing. Happiness comes from who we're being. And that really came back to that self-love lesson and being tuned into who I was being, and then how I wanted to live my life as an expression of who I was actually being as well. So, oh wow, yeah, so 32. They do talk about this particular thing. I forget what it's actually called. It's a return of Saturn, I think. I could be completely wrong with that, so please don't quote me on that. But at 31, generally a lot of stuff generally happens in people's lives where it's like a wake-up call. And yeah, so it can be like so interesting, just that phase. But I learned so much in my 30s. I'm really excited about getting into my 40s. I feel like energetically there's a lot more groundedness and centeredness. And I know the platform where I'm at the moment and launching into my 40s and what will unravel over the next 10 years truly, truly excites me, from a place of, what we can bring to fruition in making an impact in the world. That's my first and foremost. But also, a lot of cool, fun experiences are coming. And I'm really excited about stepping into that and enjoying that as well. And that's because I tuned in and I listened and I followed my heart and I found the courage. And actually finding the courage. It's probably not even finding the courage, because when we're trying to find something, we generally have lost it. And I really truly believe that it's always within us, and it's believing, yep, it's in us, and it's built day by day by those decisions, Beck, like you mentioned, where it's hard to step into that. But the more and more times we do that, we build that muscle of courage, we build that muscle of self-resilience, we build that muscle of self-love and self-belief and confidence. And before we know it, initially I was taking tiny little baby steps, just like posting, or publishing my online Facebook business page. And then it took me months before I did a Facebook video. Like literally, like I resisted it for 3 or 4 months. And the first time I put one on there, it was about kinesiology, and it like got 2,300 views. And I was just like, oh wow, what have I been it was a bit silly to hold back on that, because so many people resonated with it and got a lot out of it. And even the live videos freaked me out for a long time. I did a couple of short ones initially, and then I didn't commit to it. So every time we just take that next little step, and here I am, 6 or 12 months on, and running 30-minute chats and things like that. So it really is. It's just the step by step. This in fitness, Beck. It's when you first start out on the weight journey, or just even a new goal around running or lifting. That initially it feels pretty hard, but when you're consistent and you stick at it and you stay at it, then we build that muscle, we build that strength, we build that resilience and that endurance and that stamina. Before we know it, we've gone from running 2Ks to 22Ks to doing triathlons and things like that, which was my fitness journey. But it's amazing what's possible when we just keep tweaking that comfort zone and stepping outside it slightly and challenging ourselves every day to be the best version of ourselves and to tune in and listen to what's most important. So have a beautiful day. I've definitely talked enough now, so it's been awesome interacting with you guys, and I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Definitely jump into the daily gratitude group. If you haven't joined that already, I will again pop that link down. And oh my goodness, like the Power of Gratitude course, if you've not really fully tuned into gratitude before, it's kind of like, yeah, totally, Brooke, can't wait for what's ahead. If you've not really tuned into gratitude before, or you've not fully understood this power, this dead set is a superpower. It has changed my life in so many ways. It's made things easier, faster, simpler. It's my pleasure, Joanne, and I'll definitely pop that link down for you as well too, hun. But yeah, the Power of Gratitude course is super, super phenomenal. And the Daily Gratitude group has also a free 10-day daily challenge, and it's way, way down though. So what I'm actually going to do is pin that post. And my pleasure, Beck and Brooke and Joe. It's been great to have you guys on here and interacting with me. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll also put that link for the Power of Gratitude course too, if that relates to you at all. I really do think that it is one of the most powerful things that we can step into. And it definitely helps to take away some of that fear. So if that fear is kind of percolating, and gratitude is one of the best antidotes to fear that we can possibly find. So have a blessed weekend. Have a great day. Lots of love to you all. Bye.